Okay, we recording? Yes. Okay. Thank you for coming, everybody, to this professional development staff training day-to-day. We're going to be talking about our library help chat, our virtual reference chat. So let's get started. Just make sure it's still recording again. Okay, awesome. Anyways, okay. Let me pass out a handout to everybody real quick, just to give you, this has some essentials on it. Would you pass that out, please? Thanks. This has some essentials on it, some basics about the library help chat. We're obviously going to go a little bit more in depth on here today, but that just has some basics that you need to know. Okay, after today, our objectives for today are to obtain knowledge on virtual reference services. For you to walk out with the ability to deploy your best practices for using the library help chat. Whether the chat be on research, technology, directions, circulation, general library info, policies, anything. It could be any question, really, from the chat. Execute protocol for entering, ending, and transferring chat. You should be able to do this by the end of this session today. Identify and operate library help chat functions. You should be able to do this by the end of this session today. And understand and employ the read scale for determining question difficulty, which, if you don't know what the read scale is, we'll go into that in a little bit. Okay, let's start. Library help. What is library help? Library help is our virtual reference chat for our UTC students to ask a librarian, I put that in quotes for a reason, I'll tell you in a minute, via chat from their computer or smartphone via the UTC library website. They can access this anytime from the UTC library website, although we do staff it during both their business hours. Anyways, I put ask a librarian in quotes because, as you know, none of you are librarians, and you're all going to be working the library help chat. Librarians staff the library help chat mainly from our just normal business hours for people, which is like 8 to 5. Sometimes 5 to 8, we do have librarians staffing it, but from 8 to 12, from on weekends, period, it's going to be staffed by you all. So you all will need to know the basics. We're not expecting you to have the knowledge of a librarian. We'll go into that later too. But just in case people are like, I used to ask a librarian, and you're not a librarian. Well, no, I'm not. Anyways, who operates the chat? All library help chats come to the Information Commons desk. Every single one of them. If I go on here and typed right now that I needed something, it's going to the Information Commons desk. That's where it goes. Okay, we do have other service points that have a library help chat, the studio desk and the checkout desk, but for them to receive chats, they have to be transferred from the Information Commons desk to their desks. They don't get messages in the library help chat unless you or someone else at the Information Commons desk transfers them a chat. The reason to transfer them a chat would be if it's a specific question for the studio or the checkout desk. For example, what's the loan period on books? That's a checkout desk question. Transfer to the checkout desk. What technologies do you have in the studio? That's obviously a studio question. Transfer them to the studio. But moral story, all chats come to the Information Commons desk where you will be working. That's something to know. What questions can be expected? Any questions? But in general, research, technology, directional supplies. Library, general information, policies, circulation information, anything. General UTC campus information. People use this chat for lots of stuff. But primarily research, technology, directions. Library information. Okay, why a virtual reference chat? We're going to review the literature just a little bit here. We're going to talk about technological advances and staying relevant. As you all know, this is the 21st century. We love our tech. Our students love their tech. They're mostly 20-year-olds using technology. As you see, Lee and Hill, 2011, 66% of college-age adults communicate via instant messaging and 95% via text messaging. I'm sure you all can relate. I'm sure. How many of you all would rather text than call somebody on the phone? All of you. That's kind of expected. Also, an examination of 126 American research libraries found that 89% offer at least some form of virtual reference service. We're using virtual reference service here, not virtual reference chat, because UTC uses a virtual reference chat, as we're going to be talking about, but other schools use things like Skype, text messaging, things like that. So that's why it's referred to as a virtual reference service instead of virtual reference chat. Distance education. How many of you at distance education took online classes? Okay, about half. So, you know that you're online. You're not going to campus. You're not going to face-to-face. You're not going to the library. So, how do you ask library questions? You expect the same services that face-to-face students get, don't you? So, what do you expect? That's where a virtual reference chat comes into play. Conan et al. To serve our geographically diverse patrons, the library decided to implement a virtual reference chat. This is just kind of makes sense. You want to provide equal services to all your patrons, including our distance education ones. So if they're doing research in one of our databases and have an issue, they can't come to the library because they might be however many miles away. They need to have somebody they can ask. So they can go directly a page over to our Ask a Librarian page and ask for help. Ease, really important. This was very surprising. Chat was rated the most usable service because it scored the highest for all reference services across all the usability factors tested for both research and factual questions. This was from a Chat on Crofton article. That's a big deal. Chat was rated the most usable service across all 7 usability factors, both research questions and factual questions. Chat was the most usable according to their study. That's a big deal. You would think that people would think that, at least for research questions, face-to-face might be helpful just because it might be easier to communicate face-to-face. But no, most usable, chat. So this is why virtual reference chat, it's important. Okay, protocol for using the chat for you all. In general, treat the library help chat the same way you would as a face-to-face patron interaction. Everybody wants the same services no matter where they go, whether it's chat, whether it's in person, whether it's over the phone. You want the same kind of service. So that's what we're trying to aim for here with our library help chat. And we can do this with how we enter in chats and by asking clarifying questions for a reference interview. Chat should be entered in under 30 seconds. You want somebody, the person asking a question, to know that somebody's on the other end, because they would have no idea unless you type back. I'm talking before you even read their question. If you get an alert, hi, thanks for your question. Then you can read their question, look into it, and then answer the question. Patrons are typically using the chat to receive a quick service. Bell 2015. Yes, they are. They're most likely, well, not most likely, I can't say that. But, for example, they could be trying to access one of our databases for an assignment they have due tomorrow. And once again, they're a distance education student. What are they going to do? They're going to go to the library reference chat, and they're going to want quick service. They're trying to get this done. They want immediate responses. That's what they're expecting. Okay, always start with a greeting. Hi, thanks for your question. Hello, I'd be glad to help you. Do this before you can read the question. Once again, very important. Before you even read the question, hi, hello, I'm here. I'm reading it. A real person is reading this. We always want to end with encouragement for them to come back to us, okay? Say things like, feel free to chat back anytime. Do you have any more questions for me? Is there anything else I can help you with? You know, we want them to come back to us. We want them to come back and ask us questions, because why else would we have this service? We want it to be used. We want to be helpful to our students. That's our job, okay? We want them to feel like we were happy to help them, and we want them to want to come back. Clarifying questions, just like you would a reference interview. If somebody came up to the desk, get the information to come to the desk, you're going to do the same thing on the internet. As you know, the first question that somebody may ask you is not necessarily going to lead to the result of what they're actually looking for. And asking clarifying questions can help you get to the core of what is actually needed. We know this, for example, somebody could say, type in the chat, I need articles on trees. It's like, well, okay, can you tell me a little bit more about that? What do you need for this, what you're working on? What do you need to know about trees? Is it a certain type of tree? Trees in certain countries? How long do trees live for? What are you asking here? And then by asking some more about the assignment or topic, you can then realize they'll be like, oh, this is for my environmental science class, and I need to learn about how trees help with climate change. Oh, okay, that's a lot more specific. I can help you now. I can lead you somewhere in the right direction instead of just trees. You know, ask the clarifying questions. Is there a specific question you're trying to answer? So you're trying to help them out, and the best way to do this is to ask them a clarifying question to get to the root of what they actually want from you. Once again, overall protocol. Treat the library help chat the same way you would a face-to-face patron interaction. Okay, just for your reference, this is what our patrons see when they're using the reference chat, or the library help chat. As you can see, it says ask a librarian. You all know none of your librarians, but that's okay. We're here to answer all of our general knowledge questions that may not need in-depth librarian help. Okay, this is accessible from nearly anywhere on the UTC webpage. We put it all over the place. We want people to ask questions. You can find research help services about on the homepage. Just about if you click somewhere, you're going to see the option to talk to a librarian. So this is what our patrons see. This is what you see, kind of. This is the introductory page where you enter your username and password to log into the chat. Just so you know, you will never need an email. You will never need a website address to get to this page. It is already going to be pre-pulled up in your browser. Click Google Chrome. Welcome to Library Help. Click Firefox. Welcome to Library Help. What is it, Internet Explorer, or is it Edge now? Welcome to Library Help. It's always going to come up with this screen, so you don't have to worry about trying to find it. At the Information Commons Desk where you all be working, the username is UTC-LIB, password is reference first E with 3. You don't need to remember that. It's posted at the Information Commons Desk. For those of you that may also be working at the checkout desk, their chat, username and password information is also located at the desk for you to find. Starting the chat. Okay, when you get logged in the chat, in the top right-hand corner, one of the things you're going to see is a tab to say whether you're available, busy, away, free for chat, extended away, or to log out. Out of all of these, you will only ever need to touch 3 of these. These 3 you can use. These 3, just pretend they're not there. Don't even look at them. Okay, your chat should always be open, and you should be listed as available 98 to 99% of the time, in general. We want to be available for our patrons. That's the entire point. A reason to use busy would be if you are in-depth in a chat with somebody, helping them with their research or helping them with technology help, and you're just like really in it, and you're like, I cannot take another chat right now, I will be so overwhelmed. You can put it on busy. You'll continue to get chats from the person you're already helping, but you won't get any new ones. Okay? More than likely, you probably won't have to use this because you won't have that many complicated questions. But just in case, away would be if you're not at the desk, you just went to the bathroom. You're in the back talking to management. For whatever reason you're not at the desk, you can list it as away. But in general, available should almost always be on. Away, no more than, I want to say 5 minutes, but we'll say 5 to 10 minutes. Then it should be listed as away. Never log out, never extended away, never smiley face free for chat, we're just available. Okay, this is what your chat screen looks like. When you're on the chat and you're chatting with somebody, this is what it looks like when the chat comes in. This is you and you're chatting, this is them and they're chatting. Anyways, Chat functions for the sidebar. The only three you need to worry about, once again, three. Chat history, canned messages. The three mail profiles, preferences, documentation, and logout are all for a research and instruction librarian and administration that kind of runs the whole library help service. Okay? Chat. Chat is the main one you're going to be on. That's where chats come in at. That's where you're going to see the screen where you can chat with somebody. Chat history, it's like the three little lists. Excuse me. Chat history is where you can see an entire complete transcript of every chat the UTC library has ever done. All of them in chat history. This is great just for reference if you want to go look at them, read up on them, get more familiar with what other people are saying, what kind of questions are being asked, etc. Canned messages. Canned messages are like pre-filled statements, answers, questions that are just, we frequently are using for people. For example, one of the key messages is, "Hi, thanks for your question." Another would be like, "You're welcome. Feel free to chat back anytime." The canned messages are here. These are just for your ease of use, so you don't have to be typing away, typing something that, you know, it's just kind of general stuff, so you can just type. And these also pre-populate, so it's kind of like an autocomplete thing, like on your phone. So if I start typing hi, a little box will pop up and it'll come up with, "Hi, thanks for your question." So you can go ahead and click that and send it. So that's very helpful actually, and it'll save you a lot of time from having to type stuff out, which is very nice. Once again, you don't need to ever click on three mail profiles, preferences, documentation, or logout. Any questions about these chat functions? We're about to go on to the next ones.
I actually do have a question. So if whatever you said for the chat history,
Right.
is that history just what you said, or is it is it the entire?
It is the entire transcription. You're going to see me typing this. You're going to see that they said, "Okay, we will try that," and you're going to see that you said, "Great, let me know how it goes."
Okay, well that is very useful. It's really.
You see everything. If there was something typed and sent, it is there. It's in the chat history. It's everything. Which, click. Chat history!
Oh, look at that.
We're going to go into chat history. Okay, I did a whole slide on chat history just because I find it really useful and really important to learning about the library help chat, because what better way to learn than to see what other people have done and to read through what kind of questions we get asked and how they're answered. Okay, when you open chat history, it's automatically set up to see the current day and operator. Meaning, if you are working at the Information Commons desk, it is set up to only show you chats from the Information Commons desk, UTC Lib. Of course, this can be changed to look at ones from the studio for checkout, but more than likely, you probably won't need those. Automatically set to today. You can see that there, range, day. You can change it over date range, all dates, or you can use this button, Calendar Explorer button, which I like to use, where you can hit, it just shows you a calendar, and you can click a date, and it'll actually tell you how many chats were asked on that day, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can just click it. These are really awesome. You can just it tells you how long they waited before we answered. See, these are bad. 10 minutes. No. See, we're going to go under 24. That's what we're shooting for here. It tells you the durations of the chats. You know, this was 26 minutes long. This one was only 2 minutes. That was an easy one. Okay? And you can go through these and read through them. It's really helpful to see how other people are answering questions, what kind of questions are being asked, and just kind of get your general knowledge going. Okay, next. More chat functions. Okay, these are the chat functions that you're probably, you can use any of these, okay? These are your chat functions in order, left to right, canned message, emoji, transfer, send a file, email, flag, and block. They're also in order right here. Okay, canned message. We've been over canned messages. It's the same thing. It's going to give you the list of frequent answers, questions, etc. Common one is Starbucks is open at this time. Starbucks library. Emojis. Feel free to if you want to. You're not required to. You're not expected to. Just keep them appropriate. You know, smiley faces, winky faces, and kissy faces. No, we're not going to do those. We're going to keep it kind of professional. You know, we are a library. Transfer. We briefly mentioned in transferring before how all chats go to the Information Commons desk, And for them to go to checkout, then to go to studio, they have to be transferred to there. And that's where this button comes into play. What are the lending materials on DVDs? Click, transfer. Circulation desk. What are the studio's checkout periods? Click, transfer. Studio desk. One thing to note here, we don't just transfer a patron without telling them we're going to transfer them, okay? We're going to say, hi, thanks for your question. I think checkout should be able to answer that for you. Let me transfer you to them. Click, we're transferring them. We want to let our patrons know what we're doing, okay? We don't leave them in the dark. This is through a chat. They can't see us. They don't, they can't see what we're doing or what we're talking about, so we need to keep them informed. Don't leave them hanging. Okay, send a file. Sending a file would be used if, for example, you have a patron and they're like, I need this article, this is the title, I can't access it. The database is telling me error, can't get it solved. Okay, so that's where send a file comes in, where we can say, well, we're pulling it up on our computer just fine. Let me send you just a PDF of that article since you need it, okay? But before we ever send the file, you ask for their UTC ID. We need to make sure they are a UTC student, faculty, or staff, okay? We're not just gonna send PDFs to anybody that wants one. Ask for their UTC ID. When you get the UTC ID, go into Alma, make sure they're an active patron or student, faculty, or staff, okay? Then we can send them the PDF or whatever they need. Next, email. Well, I'm going to group email and flag kind of together because they essentially do the same thing. The reason you'll use these is to, because there needs to be a follow-up on whatever just happened. More than likely what's going on is a patron is saying, I'm having an error with the database and it just won't load, and it just says error. And you've already tried, you've gone through the basic troubleshooting techniques and it's still not solved, and they're like, it still says error, I don't know what to do. And so this is where you're like, well, I'm not really sure what to do either. This is when it moves on to a librarian, okay? So we're gonna either hit email or flag chat. And what this does is it takes the entire transcription of the chat you just had with this patron, and it takes it and it moves it, and it sends it to the LIBS common email. LIBS common email goes to every single person in research and instruction, and in checkout, and everybody that works the commons desk. It goes to them. So somebody will have the knowledge to be able to answer this. It also goes to the e-resources librarian, considering most of these are database issues. So we want, once again, ask for the UTC ID, especially for these. These are follow-ups. We don't know who to follow up with if we don't know who they are, okay? We don't get that information through the chat. You have to ask them. So if you need to flag or a chat for follow-up or email, then ask for their UTC ID and email address, and then when you flag the chat, you can put that in there and say that, and then once again, tell the patron, somebody will be following up with you on this, okay? We want to keep them in the loop. So that's how we use email and flag. Okay, next is block. You'll probably, I don't want to say never, but more than likely you will never use block. Block is for just inappropriate patrons for any given reason. I don't know, they're cussing at you, something. It blocks them for 24 hours and records the transcript and sends that to administration. So that's what block is for. Any questions on these chat functions? These are the ones you're probably going to use. So, no questions? Okay, awesome. Next, these are just some common chat questions. Once again, you probably could get any possible question. These are just examples, okay? More than likely, there'll be research process, tech help. We do get a lot of citing a source, so, which then we just direct them to our webpage on citing sources, whether it's MLA or APA or whatever. Yeah, these are just general things. Oh, one thing, we push research appointments. You get a complicated research question, you tried to help, and it's just not working out. Okay, that's when we're going to pitch a research appointment. We're going to say, oh, we have research and instruction librarians that are able to help you with this and further. I recommend you going to this webpage and filling out a form to request an appointment, because they will be able to sit down with you and figure this out. These are also available through Skype. So even though we're selling the request a research appointment, it doesn't have to be face-to-face. It can be through Skype. So for our distance education students, once again. So push these research appointments. Anything that is research database affiliated that is just a little bit more complicated, or the student just seems like they're not necessarily getting it, pitch the research appointment. Okay, the READ scale. Reference, effort, assessment, and data. Okay, there's 6 of these that they're all laid out very specifically. For our purposes, you all only need to know 1 through 3. 4 to 6 I grouped together because those shouldn't even matter. You don't need those. Okay, you don't need to. You'll never have to answer a 4 to 6 question. Level 1. Anyone in the library can answer. No specific knowledge needed. Direction. Where is the bathroom? Where are the printers located? Are there any study spaces? Things of that nature. Level 2. Anyone in the library should be able to answer with minimal knowledge, approximately a 1 to 3 minute interaction. Do you all have To Kill a Mockingbird? Do you have magazines? Things like that. Level 3. All librarians and information commons staff should be able to answer. You all are information commons staff. You're grouped in that. So you should be able to answer. These are basic reference interview questions, generally about 5 to 10 minutes. How do I access EBSCO databases? Request. How do I use them? How do I find articles? These are basic questions that you should be able to answer as a level 3 information commons staff. 4 to 6. Okay? These you should not have to answer. These are for librarians with more in-depth knowledge on databases, instruction, research, things of that nature. These are like graduate research questions, bibliographic creation, things like that. Things that you all do not have the in-depth knowledge on, and we don't expect you to know it. So don't freak out if you get a question like this. What we're going to do is we're going to pitch them a research appointment, okay? Or we're going to flag it for follow-up, because then a librarian will answer that flagged question. But really, we're going to try to pitch a research appointment here, because this is going to require some in-depth help. So for you all can answer chats levels 1 through 3, your basic questions. Directional, supply/semi-directional, basic research database use. Okay, 1 through 3s you can do. 4 to 6, no. We're going to pass that on to somebody with more knowledge. Okay, we're not going to throw you into the deep end on graduate research questions. Okay. Read scale. Also, if you ever just want to look over this and find some more information about it, this is in our Google Drive. You can just search read, and that'll pop up for you. Great to familiarize yourself with. Okay, what to practice just to better your library help skills? Distinguish the read scale levels, just like we talked about. Go to the Google Drive, look over the read scale, so then you know if you have questions coming in, if they are something that you can answer, or if they are something that you need to move along to somebody with a higher pay grade, okay? Distinguish between the read scale levels. That'll really help you out. Analyze previous chat transcripts. I really like this one. It's just extremely helpful. One of the best ways to learn about how to respond to questions in the library help chat is to read conversations in the library help chat. Once again, you can access these with the chat history in the library help chat. Go through those, look at what staff is telling people, what librarians are telling people, what kind of questions are being asked, just so you can familiarize yourself. You can also look at specific time slots. So if you work the 8 to midnight shift, you can look at all the chats between 8 p.m. to midnight to see what kind of questions are asked at that time, okay? So this is very helpful. You can really learn a lot by analyzing the chat transcripts. Read canned messages for remembrance. Okay, the idea here is that if you know what the canned messages are, you can save yourself some time. You know, if you're cutting down, if you're just typing hi, you can type hi, and then it'll pre-populate, and then click, click, hit send, 2-3 seconds. Otherwise, it might take you 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and that just, just adds time and makes things more difficult. Do more typing. or if someone's asking about the hours for Starbucks or the hours for the library, that can be kind of a long time because you're like, Monday is this, Tuesday is this, Wednesday is this. That's a canned message. You can just click, click, send. 3 seconds, that's out there. They got their response, they're done. So if you read the canned messages in the purpose of trying to remember them, that'll really save you some time. It'll really help you out. It'll just make your life a lot easier. So just to better familiarize yourself with our library help chat, distinguish the read scale levels, analyze chats, and read our canned messages, okay? References, okay. Do you have any questions?
I can answer everything.
No? Okay. Awesome. In general, if you guys have any questions about library help, feel free to come to me, and I will either answer them for you or find somebody that can. Either way. Before you run out of here, real quick, if you would please fill out this